Hello and welcome to Business Finishing School. Let your business brain finish what your entrepreneurial heart started. Our catalyzing statement is a successful entrepreneur inside of every business. Enjoy this module. Hi, I'm Patrick Gentempo and this is Rick Sapio, and I want to welcome you to this bonus module on accountability groups. Rick and I met in an accountability group, and I have to tell you that we've been in it now for years, and it's been one of the most profound things I ever engaged in that has had extraordinary impact on my life. As a matter of fact, the program that we created, Business Finishing School, literally sprung up from our accountability group. So we've had so many requests from the members in our program to teach them more about accountability groups that we decided to add this bonus module. And Rick is really an experienced master in this who taught it to me. So Rick, why don't you take them through the process?
All right. I've been in some form of an accountability group for over 18 years. But 4 years ago, the concept of the power of an accountability group was really hammered home for me when I met my friend John. My friend John has been in a weekly accountability group for 34 years. He meets with a group of 8 people, and they meet in the basement of a church, and they've been meeting in the same room, in the same chairs, at 7 a.m. every Wednesday morning for 34 years. Now, the interesting thing about this particular accountability group is that 2 of the people that are in the group were unemployed when the group started. Now, 34 years later, these 8 members have 0 divorces, even though when the group was originally formed, their marriages were kind of unstable. 2 of the members have become billionaires, and in fact, there's a book being written about this group. And the rest of the members are wildly successful in all areas of their life. Why? Because many times we go through life and we're not accountable to anybody but ourselves. Imagine if every single week you had to meet with a group of individuals that held you in the highest regard, that held you to your highest purpose, that held you to accountabilities that were greater than you even thought were possible for yourself. And that's the power of an accountability group. So what Patrick and I want to do with you here is share some tips and techniques that we've learned to make your accountability group effective, powerful, and enduring. And we want to sprinkle in the 3 words that we love talking about in Business Finishing School, and that is simplicity, probability, and leverage. We want you to make these groups simple to implement. We want to increase the probability of your success. Oftentimes, as entrepreneurs and successful people, we do things that are counter to increasing the probability of success, and we don't even realize it. And leverage. We want you to be able to leverage yourself so that your future is much bigger than your past. So, having said that, let's talk about some of the powerful aspects of our group. We want to keep this short and to the point. The implementation guide will add a lot more color to this, but the bottom line that we've learned is you want to make your meetings about 90 minutes long, but you want to have a finite start and a finite end. So the meetings start every week at the same time and end at the same time. We recommend 90 minutes. Some groups that I've learned about are 75 minutes. The group that Patrick and I are in, it meets at 7 a.m. Eastern Time and ends at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 90 minutes long, every single Wednesday. And we happen to do ours on the phone. A lot of people think, well, if you're on the phone, it's not as intimate. How does this work on the phone? It works just fine on the phone. Patrick and I were able to build our relationship over a long period of time on these weekly calls. And Business Finishing School is a manifestation of those calls because we were passing content back and forth for so long, we decided, let's make a program out of it. So, our meetings are 90 minutes long. What we like to recommend, and again, this is all in the implementation guide, is that you have one leader of your group. And that leader is the overall CEO, if you will, of the group. And they're the go-to person when you have issues in the group. And then what we like to do is rotate the moderators. So your group needs to be from approximately 4 people up to 7 or 8 people. And if, let's say, you have 7 people, you create a schedule. You just rotate through the 7 people. This Wednesday, Tom leads. Next Wednesday, Mary leads. Next Wednesday, Peter leads. And you go through all 7 people and you start again. And the person who's leading the group gets to talk about any topic that they want. They could send an article out to the group ahead of time via email, or they could pass something out with the group. As an example, one of the exercises you can go through is, let's talk about our most important value. And you go around the room, and what you'll find is that the group will begin to take on a personality of its own. What we like to also do is check in. Do you want to talk about the 2-minute check-in?
Sure, yeah, I think the rhythms here are very important, and again, it was already stated, but I'm going to reiterate because there's a couple of levels of rhythms here. Number one, same time, same place every week. I'll also add, if your group is bigger, if it gets to 6, 7, or 8, I think maybe you have to go to 2 hours. Not 100% you have to, but I would say 2 hours might be ample time if you have more than, say, 6+ people in the group. As far as the check-in, what we do every week is we check in and talk about from the prior week what were our challenges for the week, both personal and business, and what were our opportunities for the week, both personal and business. In other words, what was good and what was bad in the prior week. And we go around the horn with that so we can each kind of keep up with what's going on in our lives. And that way we stay connected on that very intimate and important level. And sometimes you'll find that you call an audible. Somebody in your group, you know, somebody who's a dear person, I mean, you're all very committed to each other, suddenly has a challenge that came up in the past week, and this isn't too often, but sometimes it might be a big enough challenge where we say, you know what, let's table what we're going to do this call because we have to focus and help out our brother or sister here who's had this big challenge and work through it. And sometimes you'll be the person who needs the help, and many times you're going to be the person who gives the help. But the rhythm of the check-in every week is very important. A part of that check-in also, which is a very important part of the call, is the objectives. In our group, we have annual objectives, 10 business and 10 personal. In addition to that, we have quarterly objectives, 5 business and 5 personal. And one of the main things about this group is we hold each other accountable to achieving those objectives. So in the check-in, not only do we want to talk about our personal and business opportunities and challenges from the prior week, but we also talk about our objectives. Here's my 5 business objectives. Boom, 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 boom. And I talk about where I am on each of these. And here are my 5 personal objectives. And here's where I am on each of those. And we'll say, okay, I'm good on these 3. This one I'm having a challenge with, and the group might help me with whatever that particular challenge is for that objective. And I'll also tell you that this is where accountability comes, because I don't want to get in that call, be reading my objectives and say, you know, I didn't do that one, I'm not getting done on this one. You know, that's not a part of the accountability process. The goal of the accountability process is for me to step up and say, if I said I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And my accountability partners aren't there just to fluff me up and please me. If I'm not doing things properly or I'm not being accountable in the way that I should, they're going to let me know about it.
It's very important that the leader of the accountability group manages everybody's goals. So as Patrick said, at the beginning of the calendar year, you want to have 10 SMART business goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and tangible, and 10 personal goals, and 5 quarterly objectives that are business in orientation, and 5 personal objectives that are personal in orientation. So again, one big document for each person, 10 business, 10 personal goals at the beginning of the year, and then 5 business and 5 personal each quarter. And the leader will pass that document out to everybody because throughout the 90 days, that's not changing. So when you're going through your check-ins at the beginning of each call, you could just look at your brothers and sisters' objectives so everybody internalizes all of your objectives. Once you get the check-in out of the way, it's then the moderator's opportunity to take the meat of the call or the in-person meeting, depending on how you do it, to talk about the topic for that week's meeting or call. At the end of the meeting, once you're wrapping up and you're talking about the topic, we like to finish with a best practice. Take 5 to 10 minutes at the end and go around the horn. Does anybody have a best practice they want to share? And someone may say, we've decided to implement Sunday dinners as a ritual in our family. Or we decided, my wife and I, or my husband and I, we've decided to get a trainer that comes to our house so we don't miss a workout. Or we've learned about a new diet. Or we learned about a new meditation technique, or whatever a best practice is. And what happens is, over time, the group begins to develop a personality of growth. You'll find that your group becomes cohesive, and the way the presentations are made each week becomes tighter and tighter and tighter. And also what you'll learn, which we found very interesting in our group, is it takes about 3/4 to get used to the rhythm of setting quarterly objectives. The first time you do this, they might not be tight, but over time, over each quarter, you'll get better and better and better at picking goals that are achievable. That's very important that you pick achievable goals, but don't worry about it at the beginning. One way that you suggest that you start with a new group, or if you're adding a member to your group, is with a lifeline exercise. And the lifeline exercise is an exercise in which a member takes about 30 minutes and goes through their entire life, from the day they were born until today, all the ups and downs of their life. It's a really good way for members to get to know each other. And we've included the lifeline exercise in the implementation guide. It's important to point out now that in Business Finishing School, we've broken it down into modules, much like this, Patrick and I talking to you about a principle. And every principle is accompanied by a very first-rate implementation guide. So you could take that principle and you could apply it into your business and into your life to give you simplicity, probability, and leverage.
I think one thing that's important to note, and Rick said this, is that at first it might be a little bit clunky and you get better at it with time. It's like any relationship. As the relationship grows, it becomes more intimate, more connected, there's more understanding, there's more velocity, more balance, more harmony as it moves down the right track and everybody's on the same page. One thing that's very important, and again, all this is outlined in your implementation guide, but we're going to talk about it here for a moment, is confidentiality. It is critical for an accountability group to work properly that there is strict confidentiality on the calls. People have to feel safe. They can't worry that something they might say might be then shared off the call because they'll hold back. So it's really important that you get 100% safe, 100% comfortable, and you can share your deepest, darkest things that you need to in order for you to grow and obtain all the benefits that an accountability group can bring to you. You really have to look at this as a family of people who are dedicated to each other, and you have to see it in the long term. You should never approach this, and I'm going to tell you now, if you'll say, well, I'll try it and see how I like it, that's the wrong approach. You have to feel extreme commitment. I know I'll be in my accountability group for the rest of my life. Every week, I am there. My schedule's built around it. It is never like, well, I got an excuse this week. I'm going to be on a plane here, or I got this going on. You could be on your deathbed. There's one point where Rick was having a problem with his throat, with his vocal cords, and he couldn't talk. So he was on Skype typing to me, and I was reading what it is that he had to say, but he wasn't going to miss the call. So when you start off with that level of commitment to a process and to a group, it can't help but lead to very powerful and positive places. So as you're learning these different things, as we're giving you these different tips about the accountability group, you also want to read and digest the implementation guide, and it's going to be a roadmap for you to really get this going.
Because what we found is the most important attribute of success of a member of an accountability group is that they're a learner. There's somebody committed to knowledge, or to learning knowledge, or to gathering knowledge from other people. If you're closed-minded, if you think you know it all, you probably shouldn't be in an accountability group. I have found that people who are forming accountability groups, they worry about a lot of things. Do they value what I value? Will they show up? What type of people are they? They get so caught up in the type of person. What I have found is if somebody's committed, if they're able to show up on a weekly basis and they put a big X on their calendar at the time that the accountability call is every week, their family knows when it is, their staff knows when it is, everybody in their life knows. If they're the type of person that can commit and operate on a rhythmic schedule and they are a learner, they're going to make the best accountability group members. And those are the type of people that are in the program. So that's an added bonus. And the interesting thing is the amount of money that you'll make from the success of your accountability group is so much higher than the cost of tuition of the program. One of the things I like to teach people is to find their purpose in life and to understand their catalyzing statement. And one of the catalyzing statements for the program is a successful entrepreneur inside of every business. And an accountability group with a group of learners will help you be successful in your business. And when I think about the world and I think about my purpose in being on the planet, it's to inspire entrepreneurship. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to live my purpose on this video. And Patrick, thank you for helping me create this program with you. It's been an incredible ride, and I'm really excited that the people that are watching this can be part of an accountability group and understand what we've gone through the last several years.
So as a final word for me, I'll just say this. This process is something that I cannot overstate the importance of or the power of. It's been extraordinary. And I look forward to it every week. And I want you to know there's a lot of commitment attached to it, meaning that I have probably an average of 1 to 2 hours a week of prep work to get ready for that call. It's not just, hey, show up on the phone and hope everything flows and let's see if something vibey happens today. It is, there's an agenda for the call. We have something that we have to bring to it every single week, and we have to be prepared when we get on that phone. But I can tell you that magic happens when that happens, and it's been a monumental thing for me, and I want to see it be that for you too. And for the people who are deciding whether or not they want to join and become a part of Business Finishing School, I hope that this is a prime motivator to help you make that decision, because it is something that is transformational to your life as a business person and as an entrepreneur. And I want to say to Rick, thanks for being my accountability partner. That's been extraordinary for me, and what I've learned from him in that process has been something transformational. So with Mr. Rick Sapio, I'm Patrick Gentempo. Thanks for watching this video. Download that implementation guide and put this to work. It will change your life. Thank you for watching this module of Business Finishing School. Let your business brain finish what your entrepreneurial heart started.